everybody, and welcome to the Positively Awesome Wrestling Podcast. We're going live for the first time, baby. It is yours truly, the Drip King, and I am joined by, as always, with my main man Tidey over there. How you doing over here, Tidey?
I'm doing good, man. Pumped up with this NXT stuff.
NXT. He's got NXT on the brain. He's trying to persuade me into watching it, and he's almost got me there. We'll see, though. We'll see. But we're just gonna jump into the show. I'm not gonna beat around the bush. We're just gonna jump right into the show. First things first. We both agreed on this one. Austin Theory. You brought up Kevin Owens. I brought up Austin Theory. We'll just combine the two. Austin Theory promo with Kevin Owens this week. That man looked very, very comfortable in the ring with Kevin Owens on the microphone and in the wrestling ring, doing all the other stuff. So what is it about this segment that made, other than the fact that Raw was pretty lackluster this week, what about this segment and match made it stand out to you and made you want to talk about it on this week's show?
Oh, it's because, like you said, it's a little lackluster. I mean, the KO show, I feel like they're promoting that and it's back. It's just how we started. I'm all about the promos. His promo, straight from the beginning, amazing. Smiling, little mean grin on his face. What's wrong with your jaw? Oh, that's right. You got knocked the hell out. Hey guys, listen to this one. You got KO'd. You see what I did there? Like, that stuff, to me, he gets my attention immediately, and he's pandering with the crowd doing this whole thing. It was the whole promo of him walking to the ring. That's what got me, man.
So, just a touch on this. Thank you for joining us, El Capitan. And yes, we are live. This is live for the first time. Thank you for joining. They are love. No, this is live, El Capitan. Although we do love some stuff like professional wrestling and Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, if you didn't know. But yes, the part of this segment that I like the most, you touched on Austin Theory. He's working the jaw, like, oh man, he got knocked out. He's like, hey, shut up, you're hurting my jaw. Like, he was playing that perfectly. He fumbled a few times, and he went back and used the jaw thing as a reason as to why he was fumbling. I don't know if this was on purpose. I don't know if it was ad-libbing, but the way that he presented it made it just seem like it was how it was scripted, or not scripted, however they do it now. But it didn't seem like it was him fumbling. It made it seem like that was just part of his whole shtick. To bounce back like that. Everyone always talks. They know that Theory is the future. They know that he has all the tools. He just needs to evolve a little bit. At this point, I don't know what else he needs to evolve. Because right afterwards, we saw the match. And to me, it was the match of the night. I don't know if you feel the same way.
No, it was.
Between Kevin Owens and Austin Theory was the match of the night after having the segment of the night. And we all know how awesome Kevin Owens is on the microphone. He's one of the best, in my opinion, as far as off the cuff. Just being able to do, whether it's goofy, serious, I'm going to whoop your ass, or chicken shit heel. He does it all great. And the fact that Austin Theory can go in there and go toe-to-toe with him, and again, he fumbled a little bit, but was able to bounce back so organically, I think he doesn't need to sell me anymore. This man has arrived. Cash in the damn thing already and put a belt on him. You ain't got to put both on him. Put a damn belt on him, because he's got nuclear heat. Would you agree? Like, anybody on Raw, do you think anybody has more heat than Austin Theory right now?
No, he's the Grayson Waller of Monday Night Raw. He sure is.
Yeah. And I know Roman Reigns gets a lot of heat, but he also gets a lot of cheers. I think Austin Theory might be their most hated heel, which is a very hard thing to do these days. And I know some of it has to do with accusation nonsense. I don't play into that crap, because prove it. I don't like that stuff. But yeah, I've been defending the man since he came up, and I've been pushing it for now. And it's like, at this point, there's no argument you can make to make me think I'm wrong here. I think he's ready. And thank you, Kevin Owens, for helping it get there.
The heat, man, the heat that he's got is because of he had a great promo with Gargano. He's supposed to cash in. He gets punched in the face. I mean, it's constantly, is he going to cash in? when, his music plays, he comes out the bank, Money in the Bank, you think he's about to cash in. Like, man, you're about to ruin a moment. I forgot he existed. Oh, that's great. But then you see him get punched, and he looks like a sucker again. As much as I think it's not tired of him, you're supposed to be a heel, you're supposed to get tired of his stuff, but he's remaining really relevant. Like, I want to see what he's going to say and do. And yeah, Kevin Owens just blew up his spot. Oh, Theory. Oh, wait, you got your first name back. Austin now. Hey, Austin. And then he goes in the Clash of the Castle thing. I think Kevin Owens helped that whole thing the whole way. But I can talk about Kevin forever, man.
Yeah,
but yeah, Theory's the man.
It's just touching these comments. This is why I want to go live, because I like the comments. They help move things along real quick. It says KO can work damn well, but his promos are lackluster. No, he doesn't. You're talking about Eddie Kingston there, El Capitan. So I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of that comment right away. You got this disdain for Kevin Owens, and I can't stand it sometimes.
What's he talking about?
Theory is phenomenal, but I worry that we'll turn into Miz 2.0. Seriously worry. And here's where I will tell you not to worry, because and this is not a knock on Miz. I adore everything he's done. He's come from where he came from to where he's at now. Praise the man. But as far as his in-ring work, it's never been phenomenal. It's always been just very bland. Austin Theory has shown me time and time again that he's not bland. That man can go in the ring, and he's only going to get better. He's like 24, I think. Maybe younger. I don't know. But as young as he is, to be able to work in the ring with AJ, Kevin Owens, and all the other people he's worked, because he's worked with some of the best already. Lashley. He's given Lashley his best match this year. And I'll stand on that. I'll stand on that. And that's including the Ciampa and maybe not the Ciampa match. I spoke too soon. The second best match of the year, my man Austin Theory gave to Bobby Lashley. But he can go. So I don't worry about him being Miz. I think he's better than that just because of his in-ring work. It's hands down. I won't disagree there at all. Absolutely not. And then what we got here, Owens can work. I'd love to knock him on that, but I can't. Bell to bell, he is too damn good. You damn right. Now, just to touch on the briefcase thing that you just brought up, I've got a theory. It's a working theory because no pun intended, it's been evolving. It's been evolving over little things. And I think I'm the first person I've seen say this theory is that Paul Heyman will end up with Austin's theory.
Yeah.
First off, he's a Paul Heyman guy. Paul Heyman went down to Evolve, shook his hand, said, "This is the guy." So that's one thing. Second thing, there was a promo that went on between, I think, Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar was involved, Theory was involved, and Heyman was involved. And Heyman said something that made him go like, "I see something going on there." Then when Austin Theory came out to Roman Reigns on SmackDown, he said, "Hey, he needs a council of his own, Paul." Oh, really? He needs a council. Who's the only councilman we have in WWE? Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman likes to latch himself onto these new, young, up-and-comers and just ride the rocket to the top. That's what Paul Heyman does. He's done it with plenty of people. And then these cash-ins. He's prematurely cashing in. He has all the tools except for the brains. Where do the brains come in? Paul Heyman. So when Heyman, again, I'm pretty sure this has happened at this point. I'm that confident in it. When he aligns himself with it, that belt is going straight to Theory. And again, you're going to tell me that the kid who has everything at this point, he's going to have Heyman on top of that? Game over. Done data. This is your champ. This is y'all's champ coming up. I'm going to put it up there again. That belt's going to look good over his shoulder, around his waist, whatever he wants to do. He could have both of them at this point. I don't care. I think he's that good. So I'm glad you brought up the Kevin Owens thing so that I can talk about Austin Theory, because I'm about to be an Austin Theory stan. That's just what he can do. Because Miz can work and talk. Theory can outwork him and outtalk him. Absolutely. I would love Theory and MJF to be in the same promotion. Would love it. They could be and sue me for saying it, I don't care. You're rocking Austin over the next 10 years. They could easily be that. That's how talented both those guys are. You're welcome. My cards are. So, is there anything else you want to add to the Kevin Owens Austin Theory thing before we move on? Because again, it was a lackluster show, so it wasn't very hard to shine on that Monday night. But I think this would have outshined most things anyway. I just think it was that good.
whenever Kevin Owens puts his, the back of his head against the steel stairs going to the ring, that's and I think this is the second time he's done it this year. If not, he did it last year. The man,
Yes, no, he did it early this year, and it hurt me just as much that time too.
no, I mean that, and then again his pump up power bomb, man. That was the best one I think I've seen. Say Theory can't sell, and then he took that stunner, fell straight back like he was going into a coffin. I mean, that alone, Theory can sell, man, and he made him look good. He threw the crap out of him into those stairs.
Yeah, no, I don't know what possesses him to take those kind of bumps, but he's walking still, so
it's scaring me.
Yeah, so with that, we're gonna move on to numero dos on our favorite parts of the week. This one's all Tidey.
Okay.
It's him trying to continue to sell me on the show, and I'm gonna listen because that's what I do. I'll give it a chance. I'm slowly coming around. I might have a little bit more time on my hand with all the nonsense going on the other show I watch. I'll probably back off that a little bit, watch some NXT, and that's what we're going to talk about. 2.0. What is it about the NXT 2.0 that got you so excited this week, Tidey?
Well, it's a contrast. They've been doing pretty dang good already as it is. I've been telling you they've been shorter, sweeter promos, but the big thing was I watched Raw. I even saw SmackDown, but I saw NXT right after Raw, and I was trying to put together, why does the show flow so good? It's because they have little promos like in between every match, but they're short. They're very entertaining for what they are. It's building up a next match. It's referring to last week, which leading to another match. Like Pretty Deadly did 3 promo segments. 3. One tied to another promo, and tied to 2 promos. Other people doing promos is how good it was, and it led me into their video package. So I'm gonna go over it real quick. It's like 9 promos. I ain't doing all 9. I'm gonna do the ones that lead up to
quick
it.
Question before you lead into it though. Are they transitional promos where it's like this is happening and then it transitions backstage or anything into this next part, or is it just like promo cut and then something else? Or
they're just backstage. They're just backstage.
Are we getting promos back to back?
Not back to back. It's
I have a real issue with that when they do that. I don't know if they've done it, but
that's when you start losing attention. I'm telling you, it was short and sweet. That's what held my attention through NXT, and it was a fluid show. And I was trying to wonder why. But this is why. This is my me trying to convince Jimmy that he needs to get back on NXT. So I need someone else to geek out about this in general. So first promo starts up Pretty Deadly. We're talking to Lash Legend, and she just eggs them on. Like, I don't want to talk, but I've been hearing some stuff. Like, well, what'd you hear? It's like, oh no, I don't want to go there. I don't want to go. I don't want to be that one. It's like, no, just tell us, what is it? He's like, well, y'all wouldn't have won if they're saying you had Damon Kemp is the only reason y'all won and beat Diamond Mine. They're all, what? These online people, man, just like these online people talking all this mess. That's no, we won. Right to the next promo. So I'm skipping the matches. Mako. Very simple. Mako doesn't need a promo if you know who she is. The idea is that you want to fight Mako if you're a woman because it puts you in the final boss position, so you get mad kudos. Mako just comes out. You see her bowing to Roxanne Perez, the new baby face they're trying to push.
She's awesome.
Off. Cora Jade comes, and Cora's like, hey, why don't you fight me? You ain't had the Cora Jade experience. And she's like, nope, denies her straight out. It's like, what are you doing on Tuesday? It's like, I already have a match tonight with a very respectful Roxanne Perez, and Cora looks pissed because Cora's like trying to talk like, hey, she's been doing this for the last couple of weeks, like I'm a big deal, and she's trying to talk like Mandy Rose, but she can't get it done. So that's just the short, sweet promo. Back to Pretty Deadly. Pretty Deadly has another segment. They're talking to Tony D'Angelo. Tony D'Angelo's been
cracking me up.
I love them. Yes, boy. They're talking to Tony D'Angelo. Tony D'Angelo got this ridiculous thing where he's just drinking espressos by a table. And he's like, each day you don't want to walk by his table because he's Tony D'Angelo. Offer you can't refuse. So whoever talks to him is kind of tied into going along with what he has to say. So he's got a little spider web thing going. They're drinking tea, whatever, and coffee. Here comes Pretty Deadly. And Tony's like, hey, that was a big win on Sunday. And they're like, yeah, thanks, appreciate it. Like, I got to ask you, how much did it cost? He's like, wait, it didn't cost anything, you silly goose. And he's like, you got Damon to screw over Diamond Mine, didn't you? You can tell me. I know what's going on. And then as soon as he says that, other guys in the back just sipping his tea, spits out his tea. And then he's like, no. We didn't do that. And they're like, it's these damn online people, man. Y'all going with these online rumors. No, we didn't pay Diamond Mine. And that's basically it. Now they've had 2 promos.
I love that they're utilizing stuff online to be like, hey, I love when they do that because they're acknowledging the fans kind of being stupid. So I love it when they incorporate that kind of stuff.
Like, they couldn't beat Diamond Mine if it wasn't for Damon Kemp. Mako versus Roxanne Perez. The match starts. Cora Jade's in the back watching right after Roxanne has a big moment. Roxanne reverses some stuff that Mako's does. Can't talk about the match, but that was probably the best match for me all week. Honestly, it was that good. She does like a dive bomb out the ring, hits her, gets back in the ring. She's got her arms in the air. Cut to Cora in the back, watching the TV. She's watching the match. She's got her black kendo stick. And it starts to make you think, oh, crap, is she going to come interrupt the match? Don't do that. I want to watch Mako put, Roxanne over. Of course, Mako ain't going to lose. But I want to watch her put her over. So it's got that tension for me all of a sudden. Go back to the match. I'm like, man, she's going to show up any minute. Anyways, Mako beats her. She doesn't show up. Hell of a scorpion kick rising. Hits her in the back. Gets out. She shakes her hand, puts her over. All that stuff, bows to her. Starts to leave. Now Cora Jade comes in. Hits Roxanne in the back after the match. Cora Jade gets out. She runs out. Mako comes back in. So Cora gets out. And this is this whole thing with Cora of like, she's trying to tell everybody she's like on Mandy Rose's level. Like the Cora Jade experience, and it's clearly not working. She's upset that Roxanne got a moment and Mako denied her. She's going back up the ring, and then she's going up the ramp and she's leaving. Roxanne, Mako gets in there, raises Roxanne's hand again, and Roxanne is smiling, lighting up. The crowd's cheering.
Mega baby face.
Cora is not working, man. That's the background story. It's just not working. She's already beat up what's-her-face twice. Ain't going to have another match. Don't need it. Now, Braun. Simple promo. Braun's got a match, main event. Braun to Tyler. They're getting warmed up in the locker room. And this is the good thing for the NXT UK fans. Hey, he tells them, hey, NXT UK is over. NXT Europe is right around the corner. I just want to let you know, you're NXT, man. Let's go whoop some Gallus ass. So as a fan of UK, he's acknowledging him as a part of NXT now. Like, you are NXT. And that's just nice to hear. Simple yet effective promo because, let's go whoop their ass. Nothing special. I'm not a big fan of all the other stuff, but whatever.
Yeah.
I'm happy you got a little promo. Each little thing is leading to what may happen. That's the main event later. And then Pretty Deadly. Back to Pretty Deadly. Pretty Deadly approaches Diamond Mine. Yeah, there we go. I love that.
They are wild. They are so wild.
Pretty Deadly approaches Diamond Mine while they're cutting at the end of their promo. They come back and they're like, man, everybody's saying we wouldn't have beat you if it wasn't for Damon Kemp. All these online kids, we're going to fight y'all. And then what's his name? Tall, skinny dude's like, look, man, I'm going to take all this aggression about what happened. So this is back to a video package now that was very effective that I didn't think much of Damon Kemp. They put him in NXT UK to get him over. And this is my point, and I'm about to wrap it up.
He was on UK?
Yep, they put him over there.
I never knew he was over there. Okay.
Yeah, they were trying to put him over because he wasn't doing much. They make a great video package on Damon Kemp right before Pretty Deadly and Diamond Mine start talking. And it basically goes like, I was supposed to, they put him in the background, like, hey, you just stand there. And they shows him holding up a little flag. And it was like maybe a 3-minute, it was longer than it needed to be, but it was so well put together. Damon Kemp's making the point that they kept abandoning him.
Yeah.
And it shows him holding up the flag for them. And then no one thought that I was the one that, that beat up Roddy in the parking lot. And I'm trying to think back. Wait, did he ever admit that? And it shows Roddy laid out on the floor.
Yeah.
That was Damon Kemp. And he's like, the reason I did that was because I was going to turn you two against each other, 2 alpha males. And he's like, I even gave them one more chance. And it's cutting back to each like weeks ago.
Okay.
And I'm like, so these last 2 months, they did all this just to make a really good video package of why Damon Kemp turned. And he hit him with the chair at the last pay-per-view. And when it leads to the chair, it reminded me a little bit of Seth Rollins. Like, here's this big turn. They did the video package so well, I'm like, that's what they've been. They didn't do nothing with him. Like I said,
Yeah.
they put him in UK. Altogether, how their promos are constantly working into everything. Because yeah, I love wrestling. I love in-ring work, but it's the promos that make the show fluid.
They make you care about characters, and they help the show, I guess, progress through the night. And that's what I like. And that's why I was wondering if they do promos back to back, because it's
not back to back.
It's something I see from time to time, and it annoys the piss out of me because there's no reason to do it that way. But quick question here: we got Hayes, Creed brothers. Both of those, I agree, are awesome on NXT. Phenomenal. They're both ready for the main roster. Tate, can you fill me in on who Tate is? Because just the name Tate isn't. Maybe El Capitan can. Tate made me feel like I was watching it. Yeah, you got to tell me who Tate is here, man, because I'm lost. I'm like, is there a person I haven't seen yet?
He's not talking about Charlie Dempsey, is he? He's the only one that I know that's like got some really good in-ring work.
Unless he's talking about Bate, Tyler Bate.
Oh,
I don't think he would be though. I don't think El Capitan would be a Tyler Bate guy. And he's clearly not a pretty deadly guy. He says they're bad as the Bucks.
Come on, man.
Not to jump ahead. Well, I'm gonna touch on that in the next segment as we talk about one of our favorite wrestlers there, El Capitan. But yeah, that's getting ahead. Yeah, there we go. Tyler Bate. So he is a Tyler Bate guy. Interesting. I would have never thought that. Come on.
Tyler Bate's fire, man. That dude is.
There we go. Bate, Tyler. Yeah, okay.
We saw Tate. Taters, man. Taters. What's Taters, eh?
Hold on. He misspelled it twice. So I was like, okay, I'm not going crazy. But Tyler Bate, yes, he does need more attention. I've heard mixed reviews on him, though. I know in ring he's phenomenal. But I've heard from one group of people saying his promo work and character work is really, really good. And then I've heard from another group to say he's very, very boring.
So, no, it's boring, but he gets over as a good guy. Like
he looks like he just has that babyface appeal to him.
He's very apologetic. Comes in the ring, he congratulates Braun, but it's the way he does it. It's reminding me what they were going to in NXT UK, where it makes sense for who he is. That's why Braun has to give him the nod in the locker room, like, man, you belong in NXT. You're a Slater.
Yeah.
And it's just right for him. So they're slowly building, man. Captain will be happy pretty soon.
Yeah, baby, we live up in the house. So. Yeah, if I have time this week, if I am not doing anything on Tuesday night, I will tune in. You've sold me enough. I will check it out, and I will give my honest opinion next week on the show. Again, when the times I do tune in, there's a lot I do. Like Tony D'Angelo is entertaining AF to me. I love everything he's doing. And
I didn't even get to the second part with Tony. Tony had a second promo. So did Apollo Crews with your boy Grayson Waller in it.
Grayson Waller's the truth. I'm not big on Apollo, but Grayson.
I didn't even touch Apollo's promo. It was too many, man. Apollo got his eye raked, blood, he turns to the side.
I saw a red eye on him. Yeah.
But then they've got this whole thing where Grayson comes out last week and he's apologized, like, man, I talked to my grandmother, and he gets really serious, talk about range and depth. And he looks sad. He's like, my grandma said, how could you do that to a man? You tear a man down and all this other stuff. And then at the end of it, he just switches it. He's like, screw you, Grandma, and screw Apollo Crews. He just totally flips it, and it was so good. So you got another guy to watch. You're going to watch it.
Yeah. So we can't. I'm honestly shocked by that one. I didn't think Bate was your cup of tea, but hey, all the power to it. I'm not mad at it. Again, between the ropes, he is phenomenal. So with that, NXT 2.0 in the books. You got me. I'll watch. We can talk more about it next week, more than likely. I'm sure if there's a Grayson Waller segment, I'm going to sneak it on the show next week, 100%, whether it deserves it or not, because Grayson Waller's the man. We'll move on to the third part of the third segment here, third favorite part. It's me. This is a guy Tidey is not that familiar with. I'm sure he's seen a little bit of him, but it's Maxwell Jacob Friedman. Oh, how we've missed this man on AEW television. I know El Capitan will agree with me on that 110%. He returned it all out. The storyline that I've been waiting for to come to a conclusion has now been seemingly canceled. It's not going to happen now because of the press scrum, whatever we want to call it. I'm sure you've heard all about that. It made me leave Twitter for a few days because it was too much for me. But So he's not going to get that moment with CM Punk to go back to the best feud of the year, which is almost heartbreaking to me. Like it really bothers me a lot. But when it came on, when Dynamite came on, I was very curious how this week's show was going to go because All Out. I'm assuming you didn't watch any All Out because AEW is just okay. So usually their pay-per-views are from like beginning to end, balls to the wall, nonstop, just kind of like takeovers, just much longer.
Got it.
And bigger names because they're more established. They're not developmental. So the show started off very lackluster to me, but then it started to pick up. Match of the week for me was the Acclaimed versus Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland, Isaiah Scott from NXT, if you didn't know. But their match was brilliant, and if you have a chance to go check it out, I highly suggest it because even if you don't know much about what's going on, the way they told the story through the match was, okay, Acclaimed is clearly overpowered here. They're clearly being overlooked, and then they fought, and they started to gain Keith Lee's respect through this match, and you could see it happening. And you can see these dudes doing everything they possibly can to match the strength and size of Keith Lee and the quickness and just ability of Swerve. It was so good. Like it was so good. I can't stress enough how fantastic this match was. I put it above Gunther and Sheamus. That's how much I thought.
Oh, damn.
That's how much I thought of this match.
Well, I have to watch that then.
Yes, and it's more story than it is match because if we're talking strictly match, Gunther and Sheamus clearly took it. But the match itself is really, really good. So good that they're giving it a rematch at their show in Arthur Ashe later this year. But the story was great. Anyway, from there, the show kind of picked up and it ended. At the beginning of the show, they had a casino match. It's kind of like the Money in the Bank ladder match. The way they do theirs, though, is two people start, and then every few minutes, someone comes down and adds to the ladder match. There's a joker that's always a surprise, and we didn't know who it was, but we all knew who it was. MJF. We all assumed it was going to be MJF. So music comes on, and the music is Symphony of the Devil. I think that's the name of the song by the Rolling Stones. And what's key to that is the line that CM Punk and MJF have used on MJF used it on Punk. Punk used it back in his Ring of Honor days. The greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world that I'm going to butcher this line. I know I am.
It doesn't exist.
But yes. Okay. There you go. So we have and he played the devil earlier this year when he lured CM Punk in and then attacked him and left him a bloody mess. So the Symphony of the Devil comes on. You're like, who is this? We don't know. Guy comes out. He's got a devil mask on and he's dressed in all black. So you're like, who is it? Who is it? He comes down, gets the chip. He wins the match and he teases unmasking. And then he says, nope, and walks off. Right then there, I was like, it's 100% MJF. But we'll let the story play out. End of the night, CM Punk, Jon Moxley, CM Punk fights back, wins the match. It's like, oh, okay. Now, I don't know how familiar you are with MJF's situation, but the storyline was that he cut that crazy promo on Tony Khan, and he hasn't been seen since, in which he buried literally everybody on that roster, Tony Khan included. It was fantastic. So the lights go out, and they play a voice message that Tony Khan left MJF, in which he says, look, man, you're hurting the fans. The show hasn't been the same since you've been gone. We need you back. I'm willing to swallow my pride and give you the opportunity to be in the casino ladder match if you come back, and I'll also pay you. And then they bleeped out how much money he was going to pay him. Basically, they did a really good job of explaining why MJF would even be in the match after he completely buried the company. Like, Tony Khan would never do it, but that voice message made it seem like, okay, I understand why it happened now. This is great. MJF comes out. Chicago loves it. They fall in love. They're like, they're so in awe of MJF being back that they start chanting him over CM Punk. But again, it is a return. Some people are like, that's because they like him. No, it's a return. It's always going to get cheers.
Yeah.
CM Punk holds the title up. MJF holds his chip up and leaves. And it's like, we are going to revisit this story. Thank you. Then the media scrum happened, and CM Punk is now suspended. So that's not going to happen. He's not even the champ anymore. They got to have a new champ. There's a tournament involved and all that. But MJF, let's get him back up there. This suave mofo. He comes out on Dynamite, And everyone's always like, that's such a good heel. He's such a good heel. He can never turn babyface. This man comes out and cuts a babyface promo that makes me think he's gone complete babyface. And it was so good. He had the crowd in the palm of his hands. He was wearing the home team jersey, and he was just rah, rah, ree. Let's go, everybody. You're with me. It was so good. John Moxley comes out, says you're full of crap. And then MJF flips the switch, and he goes right back to the heel MJF that we all know and love. There's no other way to put it. Yes. The rest of the show wasn't anything special, but MJF starting the show and giving us that energy. And the only other person on that roster I think that has that energy at this point is Moxley. So having them both start it was really good. MJF just brings this just aura to the show and makes me like, thank you. There's not many people that I think if you pull off the show, I'm like bummed. I mentioned this a few weeks ago when Kevin Owens wasn't on for 2 weeks, I think, but the show was still really good. So I was like, it didn't faze me. MJF being gone has fazed me quite a bit, but now he's back. What they do with him now, I don't know. Oh man, I can't stress how much I'm bummed about the CM Punk thing, but him and Moxley should be a great alternative, I guess, because Moxley ended up cutting a fantastic promo afterwards that let the people know, like, I'm the guy y'all need to be cheering for because I'm the guy that steps up and I'm the guy that's always going to be here. And MJF is the guy that's going to show up and boom. Yeah, right here. MJF is back. Wrestling is safe. And again, since you don't know that much about MJF, I'm sure you've seen clips of him. He's so funny. He's brilliant. The storytelling and attention to detail he has is second to none. That's why I think him and CM Punk work so well together because they both have such a strong passion of telling great stories. But then when the bell rings, that man can hang with literally any of them. Like, it's not something you would expect when you look at him and the character he plays. But man, he pulls out something every time that's new that makes me go like, damn, this dude can go, and he's safe. He's literally like completely different than anything else we see on AEW all the time. And I think, again, that's what has been missing. What up? What up? Thank you for joining us. Just going over the greatest stuff from this past week in wrestling. That's all, buddy. Thank you for joining, though. And his in-ring work is on. Come on now. Don't do that. He's talented in the ring. He's not quite. He's not at Rollins level.
That's what I was going to ask.
He can definitely get there. I'll give him that. He can definitely get there. That's how much faith I have in MJF. But MJF is back on AEW, so I am very, very happy with that because I was literally about to check out. I stopped doing the recaps because of how disappointed I've been with AEW. And MJF just said, gotcha. And now I'm back to I'm not leaving just yet. Pretty crazy week in wrestling. Yeah, it's been a very crazy week in wrestling. We ain't talking about all that negative nonsense. We focusing on the good, fun stuff there, bud. So if that's your cup of tea, thank you for joining. Yeah, Cornette Jim Cornette is a dude who likes to rag AEW relentlessly. His podcasts are usually 3 hours. This one he had after the All Out Media Scrum was 5.5 hours. That's how much he had to say about the show. That's how crazy it was. If you haven't watched it, it's on YouTube. Watch the CM Punk stuff, and then fast forward and watch just the Tony Khan stuff. One is like, what is happening? And the other part is like, this man is hilarious. It's so fun to watch just because of how crazy. But yeah, it was crazy, man. There was a lot to it. Well, enough with that. We're now going to move on to the Tidey question of the week. And Tidey has a question regarding the show of all shows. Let's hear it. What you got?
All right, man. I keep hearing, and I've seen people talk or legends talk, like they're booking WWE like a season. It's going to start after WrestleMania. They got plans in place of who's going to be fighting who. Kind of like we know The Rock's supposed to be fighting.
Yeah.
My question is, do you think, because I think NXT, because of the developmental system, they don't go that far out. So when NXT is hitting, it's hitting really good. But I feel like if it's all prep to book, like when you guys do predictions, you're like, well, this has got to lead to this. So down the line, it's going to be him versus this person anyway, because we kind of know what they're doing. Do you think with Triple H in charge that he's going to start veering way more away from planning a year out? Because I'm not down with the year out planning.
I think you're going to see more planning from the year out, but I don't think it's going to be things that are as obvious as they were. Because Triple H, what he did in NXT so well is plant seeds for things. And then when it eventually happened, you were like, I didn't even know. Like, I think that's what he does really well with his long-term stuff. With WrestleMania, you always kind of have to plan long-term. It's, again, the show of all shows, the amount of money that they bring into the city, to themselves, everything about it. That
makes sense.
It's the one show that wrestling fans grow up watching, and the wrestlers who grew up watching it, they're like, that's what I want to do. I'll bring them up again because I always bring them up. CM Punk. It was like literally the one thing he wanted to do in his career was main event WrestleMania. He didn't care about anything else. He just wanted to it was that big of a deal. And I don't think you can take away from that. What I do think you'll see more of, though, on NXT, you'll see many more storylines that get that kind of treatment as well. It won't just be WWE leading up to WrestleMania. You'll get things leading up to the Royal Rumble, Survivor Series, but NXT as well with their takeovers. Again, I don't think they'll be as obvious, but as we were talking before, Johnny Gargano and Ciampa is a prime example of it. They laid that out, and it was beautiful. It was so beautiful. And I think they were able to do it with those two because there was never a fear of Vince coming in taking them from NXT. They weren't Vince guys. All the other people was kind of like with Keith Lee. They did the whole thing with Keith Lee. They made him a double champion, and then a month later he has to drop the titles because he's getting called up. Karrion Kross does the same thing. Guess what? Now we're plucking him out, and they got to change everything. NXT, towards the end of that Black and Gold era, was getting destroyed because of things like that. With Triple H and Shawn Michaels, they're a cohesive unit. They're going to work together on this, and it's going to be more organized. Where Triple H is going to say, "Hey, you have this many months to do this with this group of people, and then I'm going to start taking them, and I'm going to start utilizing them on the main show, and then we bring in the next crop." And I think that's going to help out with, again, long-term storytelling. The Rock thing, What's that?
Good for both brands, then.
Yeah, absolutely. Here we go. Paul's a student in the game. A smart man was one of the. He gets it. So let's see if he can actually. Yes, I absolutely think he's going to be looked at as one of the great bookers, at least of my time. I think he has a mind of his own, but he also learned from the god of professional wrestling, Vince McMahon. He was sat under and was just he took it all in. So he knows what works with Vince. He knows what works with the indie stuff. He knows what works with the new age stuff. He has all these things that he can just put together and make things better. But back to the WrestleMania thing, I kind of went off topic for a minute. But the Rock thing, you have to push something like that because it's The Rock and it's going to generate buzz, and you're going to get the people who don't really watch wrestling all the time to be like, oh, The Rock's coming back? Okay, I'm going to tune in. I'm going to check it out. There's benefits to that because if you're planning for that and you get the people's eyes on that, if you put on a fantastic product with those eyes on that, you're able to draw some fans back. The fans that left because Vince McMahon ruined things. And if you have a long-term thing like this, utilizing someone like The Rock, it generates interest long-term. You might get people to be like, well, I'm going to tune in after the Royal Rumble just to watch the lead up.
Yeah.
Or I'm gonna check out WrestleMania and see what's happening, and then they see it and they're like, "Yo, this was a really good, fun show. I like this," and then they check it out from there on out.
That makes sense.
Without long-term storytelling, I don't think you can really connect with people, and I think that's the biggest thing that we've talked about with the people we like is we connect with them, and I think it's the long-term story stuff. Like Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, the reason I love it so much is because I've literally watched it unfold for so many years, and they've given me reasons to care. And then I go back and I'm like, there's so much history to these guys, and it makes me care even more. And when they wrestle, I'm like really invested. Like, what's going to happen? How are they going to one up this? And with characters as well. we can use Sami Zayn again here with the bloodline stuff. It's long term. It's happening. We connect with him because of how we're watching the story unfold. If it was just wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, it's like, okay, that's a fun match. But why do I care about it other than it was a really good match? If that makes sense.
So that's good.
Yeah, I think we're going to see more of it, just not as blatantly obvious. Like last year, it was like Seth Rollins. Cody Rhodes wasn't never seen on television, but we all knew it was going to be Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes. The storytelling was good, but it was obvious, and I don't like obvious all the time. And I guess that's what I'm getting. I think Triple H is going to nip that in the butt. You'll have some, you won't have it all the time. But that's that for the question of the week with WrestleMania and the long-term storytelling. Boop, 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 boop. And with that, we're going to move on to a topic that I know Tidey here is going to be ecstatic about. I'm going to open discussion on a man who had his first 5-star match of his career. If you care about those kinds of things, we're talking about Sheamus. No, that's not Sheamus. Whoop, that's Adam Cole, baby. We can talk about Adam Cole too, but no, we're talking about Sheamus. We're talking about Sheamus. The match with Gunther, we all saw it was fantastic. I watched it twice. My son wanted to watch it, so I was like, yeah, absolutely, let's do it. It was really good. So my reason for bringing up Sheamus, it's not that we're not going to talk about how he's this close to becoming a Grand Slam champion, because I don't think it's going to happen, unfortunately. And we're not going to talk about the match, no matter how great it was. I think we need to start looking at the idea that Sheamus might be the most underrated wrestler in not just now, but in the history of professional wrestling.
Yes.
And I would like to hear your take on this, as well as trying to break down other people who could compete with that title, because I can't think of any off the top of my head. I'm sure El Capitan will help us out here a little bit, but yes, okay. I think he's on that level, and I'm glad he's getting his flowers. I hate that Gunther's the IC champion now, just for the simple fact that that's the only reason he won't be a Grand Slam champion. I don't think you should take the title off Gunther. No matter how great Sheamus was on SmackDown with that fire and the crowd behind him, it was awesome. I love to see it. It's just not his time. But most underrated professional wrestler ever, in my opinion, at this point. The floor is yours. Let me know what you got.
All right, underrated wrestler. The tiny bit of history of when I seen him come back to SmackDown, besides him winning, championship before the WWE championship. Had to get Mick Foley and with him and Cesaro just to bring them from the dust. It's like, you guys aren't going anywhere. What was it, like a best out of 7?
Best of 7 series that ended in phenomenal matches. Phenomenal.
And they're doing that in NXT with Axiom and Nick Frazier as well. And I was like, oh, it's reminding me of Sheamus. But yeah, they did it first and they did it better. Talk about stealing the show. And then from there, they're at the bar. They come together, they find out they work better together. And you see them handling the New Day when the New Day was only fighting the Usos and pulling off matches. Well, guess what? The bar did it too. And then, he's tag team. Sheamus goes away. He comes back. It's been like, what, 2.5 years or so since he came back to SmackDown?
Yeah.
And having killer matches. And
his program with Jeff Hardy was severely underrated, as tired as it was because of Jeff Hardy, and they used the drunk driving and all that stuff.
Yeah, Samoa Joe already burned Jeff Hardy on that one.
Yeah. So even though they went that route with it, it was still a great program, and I give all the props to Sheamus on it. And yeah, the bar stuff, people always talk about the Usos and New Day having those classic matches.
The bar was right there.
Bro, the bar was having classic matches with the New Day. I prefer the bar versus New Day matches. That's my opinion. I know people won't agree with it, whatever. I don't even think the Usos are as good.
I agree 100%.
Okay, I'm glad you do. I think the Usos are great. I just don't think they're as great as everyone thinks they are. But when I compare New Day and Usos, which is the big-time tag team rivalry of the past, 5-10 years in WWE, it wasn't on par with the bar and New Day, in my opinion. And Sheamus was a part of that. one of the things Sheamus has done. Let's see what he's got. Sheamus, damn, 10 years old. Hog swaddle. Get out of here with that hog swaddle. You talking on Sheamus here? Woo. And I'll just touch on this. He hasn't been on pay-per-view since WrestleMania. That is criminal. I will say I don't think it's criminal because he still managed to make himself the most entertaining thing on the show. So,
period.
His time is going to come, and when it does, it's going to be glorious. I thought they should keep the belt, but Sheamus did more than I thought he's capable of, and then some. I've always known he's capable of it. I'm glad that we got the match between those two because it was needed. It was needed. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, man. After all this happens, the Drew McIntyre matches of him putting himself through hell, getting his ass beaten, showing that he can put on a good show. And you would say underrated because of the sympathy of a fan who watches him and is like, man. And he had all his documentaries or, on the bump of like, I wish they would just reward me with something. I'm busting my ass out here. He said that pretty much literally twice on the bump. And as a fan, you watch it and a little tear comes down because you like, I don't think Vince is going to push him as a guy. They got bigger guys that are more entertaining and younger, and they need to push that to the moon. Yeah. So Sheamus is stuck in maybe get, one small crack at the title and lose in his career. And this has been going on for a long time. You can watch Sheamus's matches for the last 2 years and say that it isn't rough, it isn't hard. And those 25 beats to the battle drum or whatever they call it, the baldron, that he did on SmackDown, it was 25, Jimmy. And
I feel so bad for Kaiser.
Hit him in the face on the last one. You think Sheamus was going to hold back? No.
Yeah, I felt bad for him after that. That was brutal.
His talent in that ring. I mean, he's so over. Everybody's gotten behind him.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think what Sheamus has done is because he has main event potential, but I feel like, I don't want to say potential because at this point in his career, he's reached his potential. I think he could be a main event guy if they needed it, but he's much more better suited for the mid card at this point. And I think him realizing that and accepting it and giving it his all for that part of the show, I think has been tremendous for him because it's allowed him to just be like, this is where I'm at. This is what I'm going to excel at. Kind of like with Sami Zayn. He's always going to get brought up on the show. on the Broken Skull session, he talked about how he understood his role and he said, I'm going to make the best of this role and prove that I'm the best thing on this show by just utilizing my time. I think Sheamus has done that in the mid card, and I think he fits perfectly there. It's not a knock on him. The show is better when the mid card is awesome, and Sheamus is a person that can make it awesome, as we saw at Clash of the Castle and as we saw on SmackDown, because that crowd was fire for Sheamus. I loved it. Thank you to the crowd of Seattle. You guys are amazing. You are the real MVP. I loved it.
Stole people's hearts. That Clash of the Castle stole everybody's heart. They all did them. It's something I've been seeing for years. I'm like, he already stole my heart years ago.
So I'll just ask then. I know it's going to be hard because, again, I can't think of anybody. Do you think there's ever been a person that's been more I don't want to say undervalued or underappreciated, but underrated is the simplest way to put it, and more underrated wrestler than Sheamus when it comes to bell to bell in that ring?
I'm thinking. He isn't underrated because everybody knows how great KO is. KO gets the flowers without the belt, and that's the only one I could think of. Like, he's been dwindling for like 2 years, 3 years. Lost to Roman in a crappy way. He brought that up on Raw. I mean, but everybody knows he's that good. But I don't hear people talking about how great Sheamus is.
Yeah, Kevin Owens gets his flowers pretty consistently. Sheamus, it only seems like Sheamus gets his flowers after moments like this past weekend, and it's a shame.
I would say Sammy. Like Brandon just said, Sammy, whatever. You know what? Sammy is going to prove to everybody, and he's going to do it. He's not just a promo clown. He's not just a WrestleMania clown. I think, like you said, long term, they're building toward that story. I think there's enough people sleeping on Sammy that they don't give him credit for what he's due and what he can.
I do think people sleep on Sammy as far as his in-ring stuff because we haven't seen it so long, which is going to blow people's minds when he turns babyface and we see it again. And just such in this, he's not getting any younger. Well, if they're not using him, then he's being preserved. Then the age thing don't really matter because this ain't the 80s and 90s anymore. These guys Chris Jericho, and I know this people are gonna hate on it, whatever. I don't care. Chris Jericho's in his 50s and he still has decent matches. And I think he's had a lot more. He's got a lot more miles on them legs than Sammy does. So I don't think the age thing is.
And I think Stone Cold said on Broken Skull Sessions that he's like in like 37 or so. You're in your prime.
You're in your prime. Yeah.
Between 30 to 40, that's when you can really hit a stride. And Sammy's there mentally, emotionally as well.
Bobby Lashley is like 45 and killer. AJ Styles 45 killer. Like
yep.
I think the age it's been stretched based on easier schedules and just taking care of themselves a lot better than they used to. So again, Sammy's age is not an issue in my opinion. I think he's going to be around, and he's already stated too that when he's done, he wants to stick around. He wants to do some Bobby the Brain Heenan type stuff.
Oh,
thank you. I can't wait to see that. So, yeah, I've been really thinking about this for the past 2 days when I have some free time, and who is more underrated than Sheamus? And I literally can't think of anybody.
You can't?
I cannot think of anybody. There's names that I think he's on par with, but those names are only on that list because they never won the world title and they probably should have. Sheamus has done that. So I think
people were saying Cesaro back in the day, but I was never like.
Here's the difference between those two. Sheamus can entertain me. Cesaro can't.
Yeah.
Sorry, Cesaro. You're very boring. Great in the ring. He's just very boring. And I don't know if the matches are as entertaining either. Cesaro can have fun with the matches. There's a few that stand out, and I'm like, oh, that was really good. But with Sheamus, it's always like, dude, I really think that man got in a fight after a match, and I appreciate that. It looks good. Like you brought up the Drew McIntyre ones. It's like a Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn situation, or a Sasha Banks Bayley situation. I don't care how many times they wrestle. It's going to be good every single time with him and Drew. And
that's what he said in his interview. In his interview, he was saying, he proves it that he leaves everything in that ring, every ounce of his blood. He puts on the best banger match every single time. And yeah, he did say, so maybe he did start feeling comfortable with the mid card because he's definitely blowing up what he's doing. Because that dude doesn't hold back. He's not built in his DNA. He's like Gunther. He's just like Gunther in that sense. Like, they don't hold back. Gunther's serious about the honor. He ain't joking about the ring.
For Sheamus to be as stiff as he is with his offense, but still be as safe as he is like a testament to just how just phenomenal he is at what he does. And when it's all said and done, he gets into the Hall of Fame, which he definitely will. Man, that's tough. I honestly hope that he's like head of the class. That's how much I think of him at this point. I think he's done enough to like get there. And if somehow he can stay relevant enough in that mid-card scene to when Gunther loses the IC title, put it on him then. Give him his Grand Slam because I think he deserves that as well. He's just been really good. Yeah.
Yeah, he does. He deserdes that.
But right now, my opinion is he a better Intercontinental Champion than Gunther is right now? No. He just isn't, in my opinion.
Does the crowd want us to does us the fans in the crowd want to be fed Sheamus? Yes, we'll take it. Is he better in what
because you want Sheamus to win so much, right? Along with that entire crowd of Seattle, right?
Did you see that look on his face
when Gunther denies
deadpan? Oh, he's not playing. It's going to happen again.
When Gunther denies him again at Extreme Rules, you're going to hate that man that much more. And that's the beauty of the emotional investments and how they're doing it. I just want to touch on this real quick because we're down to the 5 minutes. So when you watch on Hulu, so you didn't get the commercial break stuff.
There was a commercial break that happened right when they stayed in the ring, and
when Sheamus and Gunther stood in the ring.
Yeah, I was pissed.
Okay, and then when you got back, were they out of the ring?
They were out of the ring.
Yeah. So how mad were you at that?
I was pissed, dude. I mean,
let me tell you why that was so brilliant. I'm glad this came up.
I was thinking the same thing. Thank you.
Yes. So we just saw them at Clash, and we were like, yo, that was mind-blowing. And then they're on SmackDown. You're going to be like, I'm going to see this match again. I'm not hating. I'll gladly watch these two beat the piss out of each other. But we're going to see it again, and then this is just going to lead the clash to Extreme Rules, where they'll have another rematch. We're going to see them again, and then they're going to probably face off a few times between here and then, and it's going to get played out. Well, the only people that saw it play out were the people at Seattle, because everyone on TV, they're like, here we go, and then it was taken from us, and we're like, what the? What?
I was pissed.
Yeah, I was pissed too. I was very pissed. And then when they came back and they were on the ring apron, I was like, yo, what the heck are they thinking?
Not a
But then it
recap.
dawned on me. I want to see them fight even more now.
Thank you.
So if you play little tricks like this, and it's such a small little tactic you use, but it's so damn brilliant because it made me, and clearly you too, want to see them fight even more. It kills the perception of the rematch stuff kind of watering down the stuff. The match won't get watered down because technically we didn't see them interact again. We just know they were there. Sure, there was a drop kick from the apron, and then they chopped each other just like once or twice on the outside. But there was no physicality in that ring. They're saving it for the rematch. That's brilliance. That's the only word I could use for it. It's brilliance. And I'm glad that we're getting things like that because they make a world of difference. I'm already excited to see them beat the hell out of each other again.
I thought the same thing, man. I went back and watched it again. I was like, I was waiting for the interaction. I started to fast forward to see him in the ring, and I'm like, they did this shit on purpose.
Yep.
I mean, look at the way they're looking at each other. You see him egging them on,
yep.
get in the ring. They literally did that on purpose. I thought the same thing. So you on the right page, Jimmy. It
was really well done. So where was I going with that? I don't even know. But I think that's all we got for the show. We're going to put Sheamus up there one more time because look at him. Now, if Sheamus ends up beating Gunther, I'm not even going to be mad. I think if anybody can beat Gunther and him not lose much credibility here, it's Sheamus. I'm with that. So I wouldn't be mad. I just don't think it's going to happen. I think Gunther holds that thing through WrestleMania to really establish him as a big dude. But then again, I also wouldn't be mad at seeing Imperium versus the Bloodline. Give it to me. Give it all to me. Inject it in my veins, all the good stuff. That would be fantastic as well. But with that said, that's the show. Appreciate you guys watching. First live. Thank you for joining El Capitan. Very, very nice of you to do that on a Sunday evening. I hope that we entertained you. And just for old time's sake, we're gonna do one Adam Cole, baby, because he's the king of it all. But yeah, that's the show. And we will see you next week with more positive wrestling stuff because get that negativity out of here. And this is the part where we wave. I didn't